Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel, Collinati. Today I want to talk about A Master of Djinn by P. Djélì Clark. This is the third in the Cairo series, which is kind of an alternate history steampunk version of Cairo, a world where magic and djinn have been let into the world and are radically transforming the world as it pushes into a technological age and a magical age. So this is the first novel in the series. It actually begins with a novelette called A Dead Djinn in Cairo, which introduces the main character, Fatma, who works for the Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments, and Supernatural Entities. The second story in the series is a novella, The Haunting of Tram Car 15. This switches to two other agents of the ministry, Hamed and Onsi, though Fatma is mentioned in it. This is a standalone story. And then in A Master of Djinn, it switches back to Fatma as the main character. This also happens in 1912, the same year as The Haunting of Tram Car 15, very soon after the events of that novella, which are also mentioned. And in this story, Fatma is kind of a detective for the ministry. She's the only woman working there. She's got quite a reputation for cracking difficult cases and dealing with dangerous magical entities and such. And the book begins with the brutal murder of the members of the Brotherhood of Al-Jahiz. It's like a cult dedicated to finding out more about this man, Al-Jahiz, who was the one who let magic into the world, and then he disappeared. And the Brotherhood is it's full of white European, I think mostly English men, who I think are doing their best to ignore the fact that the man that they revere and want to know more about, Al-Jahiz, was a very black Sudanese man. But they are rather abruptly and brutally murdered by this mysterious man shrouded in black robes wearing a mask. He says he is Al-Jahiz returned. Fatma, while investigating this murder, is given a clue about this man in black. She tracks him down. He's starting to kind of foment some unrest in Cairo, claiming that he is this very important man returned and he is going to like bring power to the poor people, the average people of Cairo, and that they shouldn't trust like their government and such. And Fatma, her fellow agents, they're all pretty sure this guy is an imposter. They don't think he's Al-Jahiz, except he can do one thing, which is very scary and powerful, and it's that he can control djinn against their will. So he has these very powerful magical beings working for him. And how are they going to stop him? How will they unmask him? Who is he really? And how can they stop whatever evil plan he might have? So this plot it's really fun. This is an adventure with a ton of action scenes, a mystery investigation, all sorts of fun stuff. I really enjoyed the core story. It was just a fun ride with good characters, good writing, and a world, the setting, that I really, really love. Number one, I just love P. Djélì Clark as a writer. I think he is a wonderful writer, and I appreciate how real he makes his setting seem and how real he makes his characters seem. I'll have a lot more to talk about characters in a second, but let's talk about the world quickly. This is set in an alternate 1912 in Cairo, and the city truly feels like it's on top of the world. It's incredibly cosmopolitan. It's a melting pot of cultures and ancient history and modern invention. One of my favorite things that I loved in this is that the ministry building literally has a mechanical brain. This is 1912 and there is a mechanical brain, this like massive automaton in the building that keeps the building running. It's so cool. There are automatons running around everywhere, and they're on the streets with djinn and other magical people and just regular humans as well. And you really feel the variety of cultural influences. Cairo as a city with a culture of its own isn't set out to be just a monolithic thing. There's so much converging on this one city, and I like how there's this like deep ancient history there and then melding that with the modern and some of the European influences there as well. But it's really cool to see a non-European setting, a non-European city that is truly one of the most advanced in the world. And this is an alternate world where like the world wars haven't happened yet, but may not happen in the same way. And England and Europe are not quite as like powers as they are in our world at that time. So it's a really different view of history in this part of the world, I think. And I can't say for certain if Clark like heavily researched the city and the people and stuff, but I get the feeling that he did, that he wanted to make sure that he was including as much as possible that's real. It certainly felt real, and like there's just this rich tapestry of culture and just vibrancy. It just felt alive. I cannot rave enough about that. I don't know why, I just really get it. The other thing about this book in particular, I think similar to the other works I read by Clark, his character work is so good. I love his characters, and I'm going to point this out again and again and again, but he centers a lot of women in his stories, and I love that, and I think he is really good at writing women. He's good at writing men too, but it's just a joy to read something like this, and it just feels effortless. It doesn't feel like it's trying to make this massive obvious point about the role of women. It's just, hey, these are capable people. They are also women, and they can have adventures and do things too. Well, at the same time that he's acknowledging that they have difficulties and prejudices and social obstacles to overcome. So the main character is a woman, Fatima. She's the first woman to work for the ministry. She's a real snazzy dresser. She dresses in like men's suits and stuff. Every scene where she has a change of clothes, you get a description of what she's wearing, which I think is super, super fun. Her style, her fashion sense is kind of part of the story as well. It's not just this extraneous detail. But then you have her lover, Siti, who is introduced in a previous story as well, who's a very interesting woman. You learn a lot more about her in this book, which is one of my favorite revelations. There was a bit in this book where I was like, I want this type of person to be a character in a future book. And then voila, I got it in the second half of this book with Siti. She's pretty great. And then there's another woman introduced in the story, Hadia, who is Fatima's new partner. She's another woman, a new recruit working at the ministry. And that is my segue into the other thing I really liked about this. I didn't find Fatima to be an incredibly memorable character when I first encountered her in A Dead Djinn in Cairo. I think she's more on display and more impressive in this novel, A Master of Djinn. So it's kind of being reintroduced to her in the story, and I wasn't sure if I really liked her that much. I'll say that. She was fine, but I felt like she kind of had this attitude that she had to always work on her own, and she just didn't want to work with other people, which I don't think is the best attitude perhaps. And then she is assigned a partner, Hadia. And I think there was some really good character development for Fatima here. Fatima doesn't want to work with Hadia, and she tries to get rid of her at first. She's just like kind of rude and like, I don't want to work with you, and just go sit and do desk work or whatever. And it's really offensive to Hadia. There's a moment in the story where Fatima lies to Hadia and tells her that there's this rule that says that Hadia can't go into the field with her. She has to stay back at the office. And Hadia finds out, and she confronts Fatima in public in front of some of their peers and is like, you lied to me. You made up this rule. That's really insulting. Why are you treating me this way? And Fatima is actually ashamed and embarrassed at how she's treating this other woman. And she recognizes in the story that she doesn't want to be pitted against another woman. She doesn't want there to be this friction between her and Hadia. She should be treating Hadia the way that she, Fatima, wanted to be treated when she was going through a difficult time as the only woman in the ministry before. She knows what Hadia is going through. She knows what Hadia is feeling, and she should be better. So, I don't know why this got to me so much, but there were a couple of scenes where Fatima really does take a step back and is like, I have embarrassed myself. I have done something that is shameful, and this is not good. I need to fix this. And I really liked that. Like I said before, I don't want to describe too much of it. I don't want to spoil things. I think you can go in and treat this as pretty much a standalone story and just have fun with it. Good writing, good characters, a good plot, and so much more that could come out of this world with another installment. Now, I would call this a relative standalone. Pretty much everything you need to know is in this or is re-explained. There are some references to the two previous stories, and they're short. You could go out and read them as well, but I don't think you're gonna feel completely lost if you haven't read them first. So yeah, pick this up if it sounds good. I had a lot of fun with it, and I will definitely read anything that P. Djélì Clark writes now. I've been saying that for a while, but now he's got his debut novel out there and I'm like, yes, he can write short stories, he can write novellas, he can write novels, and I will read them. Somebody please give me a short story collection. Somebody should get on that. I think he's got enough short fiction published he could have an actual collection now. So that is it for A Master of Djinn by P. Djélì Clark. I apologize that this is a little bit all over the map, but I'm filming in a little bit of a hurry trying to get all my gushy thoughts out right now. So if you have read this book, maybe other things by Clark, leave me a comment down below with your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll be back to talk to you again soon. And until then, bye.